I'm going to start by taking you back about 300 years. About 300 years ago, there were no such things as offices. There were no factories. If you worked, you probably worked near home. You probably worked on the land, or if you manufactured, you did it in your house. It's the cottage industries. Work was judged by what you produced. It wasn't judged by how many hours you were actually at work. Then in 1729, the East India Company opened the first ever office in Leadenhall Street in London. The first factory wasn't opened until 1769. We then had the Industrial Revolution. There were more offices, more factories, and it became a way of working that we all commuted to work. And that's the way we still work today. But have you asked yourself recently, is that a productive way of working? Does it suit businesses? Does it suit society? I'm going to argue that it doesn't. This is what happens every morning around the world. We all fight with the trains. The roads are congested. We're dipping out pollution all over the place. And then we get to the office. And what happens at the office? Bob wants you to tell you how to do his job again because he can't be bothered to find it out for himself. And you're sat there, so it's very easy. Mary wants to tell you all about what she and Peter got up to at the party at the weekend. And Beryl wants to foist yet more baked goods on you. The office is actually a terrible place to work. It's full of distractions. It is really tough. I find it difficult to understand how anyone can work from an office. So most of us have our best ideas either in the bath or walking in the woods. You're glad I didn't put a picture of the bath, I think, up there. As a choice. It's because we're away from all those distractions and we're stress-free. Now, just as an industrial revolution happened, there's a revolution happening now that's just starting, but it's beginning to get traction. We're calling it the Agile Revolution. The Agile Revolution means that instead of thinking about where you work, how you work, who you work for, you break down all those barriers and you just focus on what you deliver. Now, it started as a way of project managing in the IT industry, but it's now spread a lot further than that. And everyone's starting to think about it, but very few people understand it, which is why we wrote the book, The Agile Revolution. If you think about it, most of us are working in an agile way now. You're sending emails in the evening. Some of you may be even working now as I'm speaking. Since the smartphone came about, we've all been working in an agile way. It's become the norm, but we're not all doing it at work. So let me persuade you as to why it's wrong for society, first of all. If you think about what's happening in society at the moment, let's start by transport. As I said, the government is spending billions and billions of pounds every year on improving the trains, the road networks, generally on infrastructure, billions of pounds. And yet the roads are still crowded, the trains are still congested, we still have to fight the strikes. And then you look at the cost of it. The average cost of a commute is £168 a month. That equates to around about 21% of a mortgage payment. The average time someone commutes a day is 1 hour and 38 minutes. In some parts of the country, it's gone up to 4 hours a day out of your working day. And of course, it is exhausting. You then look at pollution. Pollution in this country, there's an annual limit of pollution set by the World Health Organization. In this year, we reached that annual limit in London by the 6th of January. That's before most of us even got back from Christmas holiday. It was 12th night. That's when the pollution limit was reached. You then look at housing costs. There is a huge disparity in housing costs across the UK. This is caused by the fact people need to be near their jobs. They either need to be near their jobs or they have to commute. And most of us manage a reluctant balance of both. But housing costs are much more expensive if you're near your job or if there's a lot of jobs nearby. It means that in Sunderland, you can buy a one-bedroom flat for £14,500. I suspect you can't get a garage in Woking for £14,500. And in the centre of London, it's gone up to £1 million. This means we've got a whole generation of people who the idea of a front door, their own front door, is an unrealistic dream. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. You then look at society and communities. We've all seen problems with mental health, etc. All the studies show that people benefit by knowing the people around them, their community, and being part of a community. And yet almost no one knows their next door neighbour at all. It's because we live and work in different places. A lot of towns are now dormitory towns. You sleep there and you go to work somewhere else. You don't know anyone at all. And then on to the final point. As I said, I've whipped over these quite quickly, obviously, because they're all huge issues by themselves. The next point is women, childcare, elder care. Women are now in the workforce. That means there is a little bit of a hole at home. Who looks after the children? Who looks after older people? With agile working, it's not so much of an issue because you're not so far from home. Childcare is a cost that most of us can't afford. It is a ridiculous cost. Trying to put your older folk into homes is a ridiculous cost. But actually, if you're nearby, if there is an accident, you're on hand. We then look at people with disabilities. We spoke a bit about it. There's a lot of people at home who are highly skilled, but they can't work and they're economically inactive simply because they cannot travel, which is a crazy situation. So they're on benefits, etc. So there's a lot of very good reasons why society, it doesn't work the way we're working currently.